Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel. Now it is the turn of the PS4 F7 League to take centre stage here for round 7 at the Sochi Autodrome for the Russian Grand Prix. My name is Jake and I hope you're all having a great evening. I'm sure we're in for another captivating race here in this very unpredictable tier where we've already seen 5 different winners in the first 6 races. And if that unpredictability is anything to go by, tonight should be another jam-packed race full of excitement. As qualifying begins. Here we are coming into the second half of the championship now. Just 5 more races remain after tonight, so the championship really starts to come into focus at this stage. And who can take some more forward momentum after this one? Before we get stuck into tonight's action, let's have a quick look back at last week's race, which took place around the historic Monza circuit, as Free Gloves called the changeable conditions absolutely perfectly last week to take his first win of the season, ahead of Felix, who stretched his championship lead by taking second, and with that has kept up his 100% record of podium finishes in F7 this season. He's had 1 win, a couple of second places and 3 third places this season so far, so absolutely super consistent, even if at times he hasn't proven to be the absolute outright quickest out there. It shows how much consistency can really pay off. Marcus took the final podium spot as well in third with a really good drive. Meanwhile, Felix's fellow championship contenders, Morgan and Jonis, really struggled. Only 7th place for Morgan and a non-points finish for Jonis mean that Felix has actually stretched his championship lead up to 18 points over reigning champion Jonis, who's in second, who is now only 1 point in front of Morgan in third. So it's all very close up there, as Free Gloves, after his win last week, jumps up to 4th in the driver's standings. So a really crucial haul of points for him, bringing him right into contention. In terms of the constructors, it's super close. We've got the Ferrari duo currently 3 points ahead of Williams, who, it's worth pointing out, still only have points from Felix. They have 70 points in the constructors, and that is all down to Felix, who has 70 points. His teammate Paco Suarez has yet to score, and it's the Racing Point duo of Jonis and Vapor Zero who are in third, with the Red Bull duo in 4th. Before we get stuck into qualifying, let's give you a little bit of background about the venue for tonight's race. The Sochi Autodrome is a circuit laid out around some of the venues that we used for the 2014 Winter Olympics, and is one of many modern tracks designed by Herman Tilke. 3.6 miles make up this circuit, 18 turns, we've got 6 to the left and 12 to the right, and a lap record set in 2019 by Lewis Hamilton on a 1:35.7. And we've got 27 laps in front of our drivers this evening, and who will emerge on top as we move into the second half of the season and the championship battle really comes into focus. This is a key race for the likes of Jonis, Morgan, and maybe even Free Gloves as well, who are out there trying to close in on Felix, who you have to feel like at some point will have a bad race. Will that be tonight though? That's the question, as Tom AJ is about to set our opening benchmark of 1:30.7, but Felix immediately beats him by 3/10. Let's have a quick look at Free Gloves, last week's race winner, see what he can do for his opening effort. He slots it into 4th as Bryn goes quickest by 7/10 of a second to set a very threatening opening benchmark time. And Jonis moves up to 2nd, less than a 10th off Bryn, so some very quick opening lap times here in qualifying. As we go on board with TV Sen in the Ferrari. Some quick news ahead of this race. We do have a couple of absentees. Vapor Zero is ill, so he's unable to race. His place in the Racing Point is actually taken up by Sam, who you may know was actually admin for this league and raced in it up to very recently. But he is still a reserve, and he is filling in tonight in that Racing Point. Also, Marcus's pedal is broken, so he can't race, and his spot in the Mercedes is taken by Mark, who actually had the spot at Mercedes at the start of the season. So return to familiar ground for him, as his teammate goes quickest on a 1:29.6. And Bando Biz is about to complete his first lap. He invalidated on his first attempt, and he's done so again round the final corner. I wonder if that's a bit of Weaver frustration as we go on board with Morgan, who is, for me, probably the quickest driver in this tier if we're talking about outright pace, but for one reason or another, consistency has evaded him at times. But if he can start to string results together, there's no reason why he cannot take the championship fight to Felix as we move into the latter part of the season. And are we about to see that outright pace that I was talking about as he comes around the final corner? Morgan's first effort is good enough for the provisional pole position, just highlighting how quick he is on a 1:29.5. And Powdy's going to complete his opening lap. Powdy's a driver who's struggled for pace so far this season. 13th and last at the moment kind of illustrates that point. And he'll be hoping that things improve going forward. Prenz, I'm not sure how you say that name, is in the AlphaTauri. Prenz I'm going to go with. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But he's currently 7th over 130.6. It's not a bad effort actually, because his wheel has broke. So he's using his backup wheel, which he's openly admitted will not be as quick. But despite that, that's not a bad effort, all things considered. Just wondering if we've got anyone going for a second flying lap. Doesn't look like it. I'll go on board with Mark then, who's just starting his lap in the Mercedes. Obviously reserves points don't count towards the constructors, but it's still a good opportunity for these guys, like some Mark and Sam, to show what they can do. As Mark goes through a first sector, has a massive step out of the car there. A 33.0 first sector is nothing to shout about. In all honesty, it's not going to be front-running sort of pace. Got a fan club here for Nick Mania, which is good to see in the chat. Currently yet to set a representative lap time. We've got a dry race as well. Thank you to Game Freaker for that. Hulkenberg retired from qualifying. I don't know if he crashed out on track or anything. But unfortunately didn't quite catch that. But Hulkenberg will not be setting a lap time in qualifying and will start from the back. Mark's just cruising around the last couple of corners now. Turns 17 and 18, both very simple right-handers, but easy to run wide and cost you lap time. He goes up into 11th with that lap time. And you know what? Seen as we've got some Nick Mania fans here in the chat, let's give Nick Mania a bit of a run out in the McLaren. He's about to start his latest attempt. And we'll see what he can manage. It's not been the most ideal of starts for Nick Mania this season so far. It's good now that he has got a full-time seat in the McLaren, it has to be said. But things just haven't worked out too well for him. He got a good result at Monaco, scoring an 8th place finish, a 9th place finish, but with the fastest lap. But other than that, those are his only points to date. And he would like, I think, to score some points at a, let's say, more conventional track. Obviously Monaco is one of those tracks where it's very unpredictable. We do race at Singapore next week, which could be one that could suit him. Let's see what he does here around Sochi tonight. Lots of run-off area, of course. 32.7's a pretty good first sector. And now making his way through this middle part of the lap then. Constant 90-degree corners that litter this circuit. It isn't much to the imagination. I don't think anyone would say otherwise, but it does seem to produce really good racing on this game. Certainly more exciting than what we do sometimes see in real life, but a bit like France that we had earlier in the season. This is one of those tracks that tends to just produce good racing on the game, so hopefully we're in for more of the same this evening. Everyone's got soft tyres on. Oh, and Nick Mania, who was on a good lap, has spun Just coming into the final part of a lap. I believe that's turn 14, the exit of turn 14 where he's gone there. Or turn 15 actually. My maths was correct. But nevertheless, that's not ideal for him at all. Felix has improved. What's Johnny's up to? He's got his teammate in front of him, who has got out of the way just in the nick of time. That was scary stuff there. Having to get out of the way right at the last second. But it hopefully has kept Johnny's on the lap that he wants to be on. Currently in 4th place. He'll be wanting to potentially move up a place or two here, depending how this final sector of the lap's gone. Yes, he moves on to the front row provisionally. So TNR Jonis, the reigning F7 champion, goes into 2nd place with that effort. Let's see what Furry Lando can do just in the final sector of the lap now. Oh, massive oversteer moment there. He struggles to maintain the grip on that McLaren, but he's managed to hold it together, and as a result he will get a lap time in, which is good enough for P8. Not too bad at all on that one. And we've got TB Sen in the final sector of his lap. What can he do then around the penultimate corner? Again, just fighting for grip as he comes up to the end of the lap. It's good enough for P12 only at the moment. All taking this quite shallow line through this long corner. Obviously figuring it is the line of least resistance. You want to scrub off as little speed as possible through there. Bando Biz invalidates again. And he won't be happy about that. That's a few times. I think that's the 3rd time now that he's invalidated, and that's really doing his confidence around this track no good. And it is a track where, you know, you can pick up a lot of penalties, so it's something you don't want to get into your system in qualifying, because it can easily transfer over to the race as Prens goes up into 6th place. Nice lap. Currently only the top 4 though in the 29s. There's quite a gap between 4th and 5th places at the moment, which is a little surprising. Usually don't see those kind of gaps in the PSGL tiers just because of how closely matched most drivers are. But we are in the early stages of qualifying. Don't think Bando Biz is on a lap. Let's see, who should we go on board with? I think I'll go stay with Nick Mania, who is just going on his out lap at the moment. We've got a little bit of a lull in qualifying. Some support for the Red Bull duo as well in the chat, so a bit of support all round for Nick Mania and for the Red Bull drivers of Tim, Mats and Bryn. Bryn's already done a very good lap time up in 4th. Felix again showing that he's not the quickest driver, but we'll see how he gets on in the race. Consistency just seems to find his way to him. But it is Morgan and Jonis, the chasing pack in the championship, if you are, that currently on the front row of the grid as Nick Mania starts another attempt down this pit straight, which has a small kink in it, but you really don't notice it. And now it's all about picking your braking spot for turns 1 and 2. It's a very crucial part of the lap. Turns it in nicely. A good exit now through this long left-hand corner. Some people compare it to turn 8 at Istanbul. Me personally, I think turn 8 Istanbul is a lot more dramatic than that. And of course, just going through the turn now, of course, we have a scene where Bottas and Raikkonen came together in 2016, which handed Perez a podium as Nick Mania invalidates his latest lap. So not too ideal there, so we'll go on board with Paco Suarez, a driver with a point to prove. He'll be, you know, it'll be weighing on his mind, I think, that basically his teammate's been doing all the work in the Constructors' Championship up to now, and he'll be determined to change that. 32.8 first sector time, much better than his previous best. Of course, he won the opening round of season 26 here in F7, but since then he went on a bit of a sabbatical due to personal life commitments. And since he's come back, he just hasn't found that same sole form again, and I guess that's what it's all about. Forward momentum is what he really needs right now, just to try and take himself forward. One positive result could really start a resurgence for him. He just hasn't been able to find that result that's going to change things for him as of yet. As we move into the final 2 minutes of qualifying, he is on a better lap, but he's made a mistake through turn 15, and that's going to be that lap ruined, and I'm guessing he's going to slow down and go for another lap. I'm going to follow Tim Matz out there, who is on a personal best in the opening sector. He's got his teammate Bryn on a lap behind him, so keep an eye on both Red Bulls, see what they can do. But Tim Matz is on a much better lap, and if he can keep this going, he might find himself in the 29s as well. Coming down Dave, wrestling with a back end through turns 15 and 16. The back end just goes light through those corners, and you've got to try and just stick with it as much as you can. The less speed you can scrub off, the better. Tim Matz goes across the line, moves up to 5th on a 30-0. Tom AJ, I believe, is on a lap. I'm going to follow him round before we go to Bryn. He is on a slightly better lap. It's Tom. The only Haas here this evening, unfortunately no Ugi. Our race winner from Monaco sadly isn't here this evening. So Tom AJ flying the Haas flag alone, and Free Gloves just gets out of the way at the last. Will that have affected Tom AJ's lap at all? He does move up into 7th as Nick Mania goes up into 6th. That's a good effort from Nick Mania. And Bryn is about to cross the line and goes on to provisional pole on a 1:29.2. Wow, that is an incredible lap from Bryn. Will beat that anybody if he can, because that's going to take some stopping. Dimsky has invalidated his lap. What's Felix up to? He's only just begun his lap, and they're trying to find someone who is a lot further into their lap. I think Paco is unfortunately invalidated again, which is no good for him. Checker flag is out. I'm going to stick with Morgan, I think, who's just coming around the second sector now. He is on a personal best, although it's very marginal. He's going to have to try and find more time if he's going to knock Bryn off provisional pole, and I've got to say that lap is going to take some stopping. Looks pretty smooth so far. TB Sen and Game Freaker are done for the session. They stay just outside the top 10. That will give them free tyre choice for the race. Morgan is improving, but he's going to need one hell of a final sector if he's going to rob Bryn of pole position here. Furry Lando goes up to stays 10th and retires from the session. Felix is not going to improve. He's only 8th place. So he's going to have a tough race ahead. Morgan around the final corner then. No, he can't find the time. Jonas is invalidated, so he's not going to improve. And I think that's everyone. That is everyone done in qualifying, and Bryn at the last with a stunning 1:29.2 takes pole by 0.3 of a second. Wow, where did that come from? Fair play, that's a great lap. And even call Morgan out, who didn't have anything in response in the end. Morgan takes 2nd, Jonas is in 3rd, Dimsky's 4th, Tim Matz 5th, Nick Mania is in 6th, Tom AJ 7th, Felix is 8th, Prenz is in 9th, and Furry Lando completes the top 10. And then everyone else outside the top 10 will have freedom of tyre. Hulkenberger, I believe, had some leaving and joining issues, so some connection issues, so that would explain why, unfortunately, he couldn't do a lap in qualifying. But nevertheless, I have to say that's a great effort from Bryn, and if he can keep up that pace throughout the race, he's gonna take some stopping, but he's got some very, very quick drivers around him on the grid. Let's just have a quick run out through outside the top 10. And then TB Sen starts 11th. Sam is in 12th. Game Freaker 13th. Free Gloves, the winner last time out, but only 14th in qualifying here. Mark is 15th. Powdy 16th. Paco Suarez is 17th. Bando Biz never got a lap together. He looked pretty quick, but just couldn't. Unfortunately, too many invalidations cost him. He's 18th, and Hulkenberger is in last place. That is your qualifying session done. I have to say, a few little surprises in there. But nevertheless, it's all set up to be a brilliant race here. And who will take the maximum 16 points on offer here and win the race? No issues with the weather. We had a perfectly dry qualifying. We've got a perfectly dry race. So this really is just going to be a test of strategy. Of course, tyre wear's not a massive concern around this track. We haven't even got the softest tyres here. Pirelli have brought middle of the range tyres, C2, C3 and C4. And yeah, tyre wear's just never been that big of a problem around here. But of course there is the opportunity for safety cars which could impact on the race itself. And I have to say, Bryn did a superb job in qualifying, but he's got some superb talent behind him. And it's all well and good doing it for one lap, but you've got to reproduce it over the next 27. And safety cars and whatnot could play a massive part in how this race unfolds tonight. There is plenty of runoff here, but that does not mean that safety cars are out of the question. And using those safety cars to your advantage could potentially impact and shape how your race goes. Bryn is on pole, and let's have a look at the tyres for those outside the top 10. TB Sen, Mark and Hulkenberger have elected to start on soft tyres, but the others have elected to go for mediums. I wouldn't expect the hard tyre to be in too much of usage here, just because I think a soft to medium strategy is pretty straightforward, all things considered. So I don't think we'll expect to see too many hard tyres being run. Maybe if somebody gets damage on lap 1, they may consider sticking on the hards and running long into the race, but overall it's going to be mostly a soft to medium strategy conventionally around this track. And it'll be interesting to see what those on medium tyres can do in these opening laps, because if any of them can make up a few places and stay within touch of the leaders, they could come into play later on. It just depends what kind of field spread we get. Well, Bryn came into this season with the goal of getting used to the wheel and no assists. And I have to say, every time I watch Bryn drive, he just seems to be quicker and quicker. And it suggests good things for him going forward, because with the rate of progress he's showing, there's no reason at all why he can't potentially... We might see him in higher tiers in seasons to come, because, you know, I don't believe he's reached a peak of those powers just yet. And the rate of improvement he's going at, he's one to look out for over the rest of his season and going forward as well, I suspect. I don't know where Jonas is going. I think that was Jonas. It might have been Sam, actually. There's one of the Racing Point cars going well for track. Bryn's taking it very cautiously on this formation lap. So much so that one of the McLarens has just thought, you know what, I want to get to the grid. I'm going to say, this isn't the quickest out lap I've ever seen. I don't know if that's a ploy, a tactic or anything of Bryn's, but nevertheless, interesting to see what that means for tyre wear. I mean, obviously he doesn't want to let other drivers basically stay well back, and he has to wait on the longer he has to wait on the grid, as I've been booted out of the lobby, which is not too ideal. Hopefully the stream is still running, and I'll try and get back in the lobby as quickly as possible. Can only apologise for that. Try and get back in the lobby as quickly as possible. At least I didn't get booted out of the game. That's the main thing. Means I can just go back to spectate. And we can hopefully join the race before it starts. So, yeah. I mean, at least it happened on the outlap. Hopefully we've not missed too much. But I'm ready to go. Hopefully the drivers are just waiting for the lights to go out. I suspect that's probably the stage where we're at now. And it'll be interesting to see how this race unfolds. 27 laps ahead of us. It's a Russian Grand Prix. It's not the most conventional start to a race you'll ever see. But nevertheless, it hopefully will be the most exciting. We've already got a virtual safety car on lap 1. So the race has started. I'm just going to try and get an idea. Looks like Brin's in the lead. Johnny's the second. Morgan's dropped way down the order. And is it Bando Biz, perhaps, that has had an issue at the back? Because he's sort of cut adrift a bit. Felix has picked up a penalty. A 5-second penalty. So that would suggest a collision with somebody at the start. So not... In terms of our championship leader, that's a real blow for him. Oh, and a speeding under VSC penalty for TNR Johnny's as we get back underway. Ferry Lando, who finds himself up in 4th place. I'm not sure how that's happened. I'm pretty sure he started 10th. That's an unbelievable start for him. But he's looking at passing Dimsky, who in turn is looking at the back of the racing point. It's getting super tight through the final part of the lap. But despite all the madness that seems to have happened at the start, it is Brin that leads the way. Followed by Jonas Dimsky, the 2 McLarens. Morgan, who started on the front row, has dropped to 6th. Oh, and we've got a problem here. Jonas, is he going into the pits? It looks like he is, so I wonder if he's collected damage on the opening lap. Was there contact between Jonas and Morgan, I wonder? Ferry Lando has moved up into 2nd place. Dimsky caught napping there at the final few corners. But we have got Jonas in the pits. Felix is in the pits as well, so is Mark. So a few drivers have obviously been caught up in first lap contact as Dimsky looks at a move into turn 1 but can't quite make it stick on Ferry Lando, and he remains... These guys remain P2 and P3, but Brin at the front is absolutely gone. He's already built up a 1.5 second advantage at this early stage of the race. And it has to be said that we've got some real drama here. Two of them, the top 2 in the championship, both in the pits on lap 1. Jonas has pitted for soft tyres by the looks of it. Oh no, he's served his drive-through penalty, of course. So Jonas has served his drive-through penalty. Felix, as expected, has gone to hard tyres, and he'll just now be looking to run those as far as he can and hope that it kind of works out for him. But it is going to be a tall order from here. Meanwhile, Tim Matz is using his overtake to try and have a run at the Ferrari of TB for P7. He's not going to be quite close enough on this occasion. As Dimsky looks at the back again of Ferry Lando. And I have to say, I don't know if it's a lack of pace from Ferry Lando or just Brin's just absolutely smoking it in these first few laps. But he is pulling away, hand over fist from the cars behind. And Ferry Lando from 10th place on the grid is up to 2nd. What an unbelievable start from him. In fact, both McLarens can be very happy with how they've started this race off. But I have to say here that surely Dimsky is going to have a run down the inside. There was nearly contact there through the small kink. And now up to the first corner. Who's going to be late on the brakes? Right around the outside. Ferry Lando's trying to stick it. He's gone off the road. Surely he's going to have to concede that place, and he does. Dimsky moves up into 2nd place. And in the end, there was nothing that Ferry Lando could do in the end to defend that. He tried to outbrake the Mercedes driver around the outside, but just run out of track in the end, and there was nowhere for him to go. Morgan trying to make up for lost time. He is not where he wants to be right now, behind the 2 McLarens. And the one positive thing for him, of course, is he'll probably not really consider Brin to be a part of his championship fight. And Brin currently in 8th place in the championship, some way behind the leading contenders, so he's not really in the championship running from that aspect of things. But as I've mentioned, he's really been improving this season, so you know, you don't want to let him get into championship contention, you could do with beating him here, because he's showing the ability that he's got. and the ability to just pull out a lead at the front. As we've got yellow flag, what's happened here? We've got Dimsky, who's recovered after a problem. Is he going to have to go into the pits? Has he got damage? I don't think he has. But Dimsky's made a mistake. He's made another one there, run wide. So Dimsky having a shocking few corners there. I don't know if it was contact between him and another driver. May very well have been, but he went round. And unfortunately for him, that's dropped him all the way down to 8th. And puts the McLarens back up to 2nd and 3rd. And they will now try and work together to almost keep the cars behind at bay. Particularly Morgan and Tom A.J., who look very quick at this stage of the race. A breathless opening few laps, but for Brid it's all absolutely serene out front. He's doing everything he needs to do right now, and he can afford now to just run the race at his sort of pace. He's got no reason, absolutely no reason at all. As we've got a yellow flag, Prenz has gone. Prenz has gone round, he's recovered, but he's got, oh look at that, major front wing damage on the front left, and that's going to have to be nursed back to the pits. Unfortunately, only caught the aftermath of that, so not too sure what happened, but Prenz has gone round somewhere, and unfortunately that he was running in a points position, but that will drop him back and he will need to pit for a new front wing. Got to say, though, for McLaren, a team that only scored their first points in the last couple of races, this is a dream situation for them. 2nd and 3rd they're running at the moment. And the two drivers, although they don't look especially fast, certainly not compared to Bryn, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing at the moment. They're running a good pace, and ultimately it's up to the other guys to try and pass them. But effectively they're working together to minimise the opportunities for the cars behind. At the moment, Free Gloves is the highest running medium tyre runner, up in 9th place. But he is cut adrift from this top 8 somewhat, and Prenz has left the session. So I think he may have retired in that one, but he's not actually retired, so a bit of an odd one that. Maybe he'll rejoin, hopefully. And it's all about just staying, really, for, yeah, Prenz must have had a connection issue because he has rejoined, thankfully. Bryn, though, 5.5 second lead on lap 5. I don't think he could have dreamt of a better race thus far. I wonder if this is an opportunity for Morgan. He's right behind Nick Mania, but you see the problem here is that Nick Mania is close to Ferry Lando, and Ferry Lando, the two McLarens are going side by side. This is going to be really tight, but Nick Mania has just crept past his teammate. There was definitely no team orders there, and you can see that, but the way that Ferry Lando's coming back at his teammate, McLaren will not be enjoying this one bit, and there's more contact between them, and this is just allowing Morgan to go alongside, and the other drivers are just getting caught up behind. Tom A.J. looking at a move past the Ferrari, but there's no way past. But look how much time they're costing each other. I thought they were working together, but that last sector definitely doesn't suggest that's the case. And Ferry Lando takes a place back, and I don't think that's much good for him. Oh, look at it going side by side and getting into turn 1. Oh, that's surely off the track there for Nick Mania. I wonder if he'll have to concede that place, but this is doing neither McLaren any good at all. But look at them, they're still doing this is a great battle, but they've gone! Oh, and that's been coming for a while, I'm afraid. Ferry Lando has gone round at the exact corner where Bottas and Raikkonen collided in 2016. He has gone round Ferry Lando, and they went side by side for as long as they could manage. But ultimately it went wrong, as Tom A.J. has capitalised on that and has got past Morgan up into 3rd. But this is absolutely mad as Prenz retires from the race. And I think that's in the pit lane, so Prenz has called it a day. Well, I thought McLaren had a good strategy worked out there, but I think I take it back. It all kind of unravelled, I'm afraid. But for Nick Mania, he's still in the position he wants to be in, but he has no rear gunner in terms of a teammate now. And Tom AJ's looking down the inside into turn 17, but that was a bit too optimistic, and effectively might have actually decreased his chances through the much more likely spot of the first chicane. Because he's affected his run out, but he might still have a good slipstream here on the McLaren driver. He's going to the inside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Or you can see the rejoining AlphaTauri. There's more contact there as Nick Mania goes wide, but Tom AJ has the place and he's up into second. And can Morgan potentially run right round the outside? This will be a brave move if he can make it stick. He's going for it though. Ferry Lando's out of the race as Morgan takes third place from Nick Mania. And the dream race for McLaren is kind of unravelling as they start to lose places. Ferry Lando has retired in the pits and Nick Mania has dropped a few places in the space of half a lap as Mark gets a pit lane speeding penalty and he's now out of the race too. So we've got 3 retirements from this race. We're already down to just 16 drivers. And wow, that's just incredible really. The attrition already in this race as Dimsky looks for a move on Tim Matz, but not close enough on this occasion. Lord, look ahead though. Nick Mania is really struggling. You can see him battling with the car at the start of the final sector, and he's now under threat from the other Ferrari of TBSEM. Of course, the Constructors' Championship leaders at the moment, Ferrari, and this is working beautifully for them as Nick Mania comes into the pits. So Nick Mania wants to get rid of those soft tyres. I wonder if he's collected a bit of damage because there was some contact between him and his teammate. So I wonder if there's a change front wing here because that's a little bit earlier than I would have expected. Now he's just going for an early pit stop. Interesting. He's gone onto the medium compound tyres and he will rejoin the race from there. But look at this from Bryn. Absolute dream city here. You don't often see, certainly in a PSGL race these days, where the gaps in the tiers are so small. You don't usually see a driver with a 10-second lead on lap 8, but thanks to a lot of battling and just incredible pace from Bryn, that's exactly what he has. And it's now up to him now. He can run this race how he wants. He can sort of take half a metre, I'd say, you know, off some exit curves, you know, try and make sure he doesn't pick up any unnecessary penalties. He can now run this race as he sees fit because he's got that buffer. This is a sort of course in the Red Bull as well. This is a sort of positions where the likes of Sebastian Vettel really thrived in the Red Bull, just being out in the front on their own, able to control things, and we'll see now if Bryn can do similar. But Morgan is now that it's become more spread out behind Bryn, Morgan's starting to show his pace. He's over the back of Tom AJ for P2. As TBSEN, his teammate is just behind him 4th, as Dimsky again looks threatening behind Tim Matz. Is Morgan going to have a potential run here? He's using some of his overtake. He will get on the DRS. He senses here that there is a big opportunity to take P2. Look how much overtake he's using. He's absolutely determined to try and make this one stick. He's going to go around the outside, and he does it superbly. And he really choreographed that move perfectly as Dimsky and Tim Matz also going side by side in the background. Dimsky gets a penalty for corner cutting, and to add insult to injury, he's had to let Tim Matz back past. So Dimsky remains behind the Red Bull and has a penalty for his efforts. So not ideal for him, but again he's trying to recover because he was right up there at the start, but had a spin, I believe, in the final sector which cost him. And he's trying to make up places again, but that is not easy, especially when the guy in front of you also has DRS from the car in front of him. DRS trade effect is a tricky one. I wonder what Bryn will be thinking. He'll know that Morgan is quick in second place, but he's just got such a good lead. He really can run this race how he wants. The only thing Bryn will fear now going forward is the safety car. But other than that, he really is in complete control of this race. Tom AJ sticking pretty well with the cars behind, it has to be said. And Morgan pits. So Morgan's going for a bit of an undercut here. Obviously not really, probably worrying more about keeping ahead of Tom AJ than he is about digging into Bryn's lead. Unfortunately for McLaren, their race kind of went downhill. But interesting to see where Nick Mania is in all of this, as Johnny's pits, as does Paco Suarez. So we've got a few drivers in the pits right now. Will Morgan rejoining clear air? That's going to be key for him, really, I think. But no, oh, that's not good for Morgan at all. He's rejoined just behind Nick Mania. So that really hasn't done him any favours at all, and just plays further into Bryn's hands out front, and maybe Tom AJ's too, depending what his pace is on this lap, because it is not going to be easy for Morgan to gain his place back again straight away. Dymski's out the race. We've got a crash. We have got a crash. Oh, look at that. And it is a safety car. Dymski out the race. You can see there. Look, that's a massive crash. I wonder if he picked up too much exit curb and he slid into the opposite barriers. And Dymski's eventful race comes to a real sad end there. But this turns everything upside down. But the good thing for Bryn here is he can pit. So can Tom AJ. I'm not sure this does Morgan any favours at all. In comes Bryn into the pits. The only good thing for Ferrari is that with Morgan pitting, it means TB7 won't have to queue behind his teammate in the pits. And I wonder what those on medium tyres will do. Will they pit as well? Bryn goes on to mediums. It works out perfectly for him. He's in and out the pits. Where's Morgan going to be when this all shakes out? Bryn's lead is wiped out. That is a blow for him, no question about it. Well, I mean, look at this. I think it's going to be quite comfortable. Tom AJ is going to be comfortably in front of both Nick Mania and Morgan. Where's TB Sen coming out? Is he going to come out in front of his teammate? Yes, he is. So, yeah, Morgan's pitting a lap early has really backfired on him. There's no doubt about it. That has not worked out well at all for Morgan. He is a real driver who's lost out through this. Tim Mats does rejoin behind him, though. And interestingly, a lot of the guys that started on mediums are pitted for softs. So Free Gloves has come in for softs. Sam has come in for softs. Of course, the advantage of a track like this is that you can get away with maybe stretching the softs this long, but even then that is going to be a stretch. But I guess they really had no choice, because if they'd have stayed out mediums under the safety car, they would have been pretty much a pit stop behind come the restart. So they'll be ones to look out for, though, especially in those early laps on softs. They'll get up to temperature quicker than the mediums, and the likes of Free Gloves and Sam could be big threats here on the restart. Of course, the safety car is good news for the likes of Felix and Jonas, who have had different disappointing races from their perspective so far. Had to pit in due to damage, and this gives them the opportunity to join the back of the pack and try and do some good damage limitation from this race. If mentioned Felix's 100% podium record, I get the feeling it's going to take quite some show from here on in for that record to stay on past Russia, because, well, a top 3 finish for him now looks quite unlikely from the position he's in. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see more crazy things happening in the latter half of this race, and McLaren's destroying the great position they were in. I mean, that was quite something, it has to be said. We are under safety car conditions right now. Lap 12. Game Freak is pitting. He's going for a set of medium tyres, take him to the end. Felix has pitted again for mediums. That's a wise thing to do. No point keeping on the hards if you can switch and not really lose out. And hopefully, all being well, these guys should catch up to the safety car in time this lap, and we could have a safety car in at the end of this current lap. And following Bryn there, how will he be feeling? He'll have felt like this race was going oh so brilliantly for him. And of course he's still in a great position, but that lead he had has just been wiped out. The good thing for him is that I would argue his biggest threat was Morgan. But Morgan's now going to have to do some overtaking because he did get caught out with the timing of a safety car. Tom has been pretty quick too, so he will be a threat as well, but you know, I feel like Bryn has shown excellent pace so far, and he has got our ability to pull away again. Let's have a look at positions gained. There's been quite a different look at some of these. This is incredible. TB sends up 8 places. You know, Furry Lando, he started 10th. He was running 2nd place at one point in the opening stint of a race. Safety car is in this lap. Hulkenberger up 11 places. He's done a great job too. And I'm interested to see what he can do. With definitely some points up for grabs here. For drivers who haven't had the best of seasons. You know, Game Freak is one driver who will be quite amazed really what's happened, because he really did shine last season. Finished runner-up to Johnny's in this tier. But since this season just hasn't found that form so far, and he has got a penalty here, but there's no reason why he can't get into points too. I think we're going to see a lot of things happen over the course of the next 15 laps, but scheduled pit stops are over now. It's just going to be a flat out race to the end. And how will Bryn cope with the pressure of having a car right behind him off the back? We're about to find out. He uses his overtake mode to try and stop any attack from Tom AJ. It's a slightly sluggish getaway from Nick Mania further behind, as Game Freaker looks to make a move for 12th place. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He's got to make it stick before he's even got to the corner. So nicely done for Game Freaker, but he's run wide, and that's going to give an opportunity for Paco at the very next turn. Felix watches on as these two go side by side, giving each other just enough room around the corner. Who's going to be later on the brakes? This could go horribly wrong. Oh, we're giving each other just enough space. Felix runs off the track. TB Sen has a penalty. But it is Game Freaker that takes the place in the end. He had to work very hard for that one. A look back at the front. Bryn has had a good start. Morgan is close behind Nick Mania for 3rd. Free Gloves is trying to make use of those soft tyres. He's right on the back of Tim Mats for 6th. I mentioned those soft tyres would get up to speed quicker, and Free Gloves is clearly thinking, I've got to try and take advantage in these early laps because my tyres are better. Meanwhile, further behind, we've got one driver taking advantage of his soft tyres indeed, because Sam has moved up to 8th place past Hulkenberger. Nicely done in the racing point. That's a good overtake. And making the most. He'll try and now catch up to the next group of cars, which Nick Mania, you'd have to say, is kind of leading around at the moment. But look at Bryn, he's already just set a fastest lap of the race, and he's already pulled out a 1.4 second lead over Tom. He's absolutely flying. And Bando Biz has retired. That becomes our latest retirement, as Johnny's got the other Racing Points. Hulkenberger, in the space of a lap, has been overtaken by both Racing Point drivers and drops to 10th. And he's now got Powdy right in the back of him as well. 2 veterans of PSGL doing battle over the final point. Game Freak is a pretty big veteran himself, so we've got three real veterans battling away at the back end of the points right now. Probably not where they want to be, but that's where they find themselves right now. But there's still such a long way to go. I don't think this is going to be anywhere near close to a finishing order. And TB Sen's penalty could really come back to bite him here, as the top sort of 3 drivers begin to spread out. Already gaps really forming, and that will be concerning for anyone like Morgan or Free Gloves or Sam that will look to try and make their way through this pack. Free Gloves looks very threatening behind Tim, but of course the problem that he's going to have is that Tim Mats will have DRS himself, so there's not much he can do. From that perspective, you may have to look for a slightly imaginative overtake here, as Bryn continues to stretch out his lead over 2 seconds now. I wondered that if the safety car restart would maybe put him under some pressure, but he just looks to have so much pace this evening. He's just driving away again. Free gloves, yeah, this is a problem, you see. A DRS train that he's caught in now, and he can't make the progress he would want to make. What he needs to happen, really, is for Morgan to have a go and Nick Mania, which looks the most likely move at the moment. Morgan will be cursing his luck. That safety car came out at such a bad time for him. He was looking at that point like he was going to... He just got second off Tom, but then he made that early pit stop, and then the safety car came out. So he's the one who really lost out because of the crash to Dimsky, which brought it out. And he's struggling to make up that lost ground. I mean, he probably, whether he had the pace to really take the fight to Bryn, we'll never know, but he definitely would have been right up there for sure. And he'll know that he has to get this move done on Nick Mania as soon as possible. Of course, Nick Mania is on slightly older mediums. Not sure how much that will affect him in the latter stages, what with tyre wear not being a massive concern around here, but it could very well mean that he does struggle for pace, and you can already see he really is building up a train of cars here as both Racing Points join in. Sam and Jonis are quickly closing in on the back of this group of cars. And wow, Brinsley now for 3 seconds. Of course, the problem that Morgan could have soon is that Nick Mania is close to getting in the other Ferrari's DRS zone. And if that happens, then Morgan's opportunities are going to become even more limited, as Free Gloves is ever closer behind that Red Bull. Is he going to try and move? This will be a brave one. He thought about it, but not quite. He had a quick look down the inside, maybe wanting to spook Tim Matz into a mistake, but it didn't work out. And he has to remain in 7th behind, and he has to even keep an eye out for Sam, who's right behind him. See just how closely bunched these group of cars are, and how much this won't be playing into the hands of us on the softer tyres. But surely this is an opportunity for Free Gloves. He's right behind here. I'm a bit surprised he's not using his overtake here, because he could do with getting a move on past this Red Bull, but no, not to be. He's maybe trying to force the Red Bull into a mistake so he can save his ERS, but that's a brave thing to do again. And just not quite close enough to really send it up the inside. But there's no doubt about it, Tim Matz is struggling. And of course he's in a dirty air as well, so it's not doing him any favours. And Nick Mania should have DRS now. And if he does, which he does, that's not going to help Morgan at all. Bryn's got a 4-second advantage. He's just not stopped him at all. Tom AJ is... He's a decent amount ahead of TB7, but he probably would like to be a bit further up the road. Again, Free Gloves going super close here. Is he going to try and move this time around? Oh, Tim Matz felt the need to go defensive. That could affect his exit. Free Gloves is looking at it, but again, he can't get quite close enough, and he ducks back in before they get to the corner. Just not quite able to send one up the inside, not quite close enough. It's fine margins we're talking about here, but you can see when we get to those parts of the track, the Red Bull is very vulnerable. Of course, Tim Matz will know if he can hold off Free Gloves for sort of the next 5 laps, the effect of those soft tyres will become less and less. As TNR Jonis looks at a move past his teammate. Of course, it's just his teammate for one evening, with Sam being a reserve, so I don't expect them to be any team orders going on there. But Jonis will want to get a move on. Of course, Felix at the moment down in 13th. His race is just not happening at all tonight, so it really is an opportunity for those to claw back some points on him. Because his 100% podium streak, I think, is definitely coming to an end tonight. And that's a good run for Free Gloves. You can see there he's using his overtake. He fancies it this time around. He's going to go down the inside. Timmats tries to hold it out. Timmats gets a penalty in the process. There was a little bit of contact between them. But Timmats does somehow hold it off, but that penalty could be very costly. Surely Free Gloves are down the inside of the following corner. Timmats tries desperately to stay with it. There's yet more contact as he battles with the back end of an Alfa Romeo, and now Sam is looking to go right round the outside, and Free Gloves, looking to gain a place, is about to lose one. Wow, Free Gloves was so insistent to try and get that 6th place, and in the end he's lost a place to the Racing Point. It was all pretty fair from what I saw there. It was just the briefest moments of contact, but they tried to give each other room, but Timmats at the same time did not want to lose that place. And you cannot blame him for that, because you will know how crucial that is. And now Free Gloves is under pressure from the other Racing Point. I wonder if Nick Maney is getting close enough for a potential attack on the other Ferrari. That's one other thing to note. Because not only is Nick Maney just got back in the DRS of TB10, he is gaining too. And he's using overtake, so he either to defend or fancying an overtake. Either way, he is very, very close here. Is he going to try and move into turn 1? No, he's not. We've got to move for the final point. Powdy has got past Hulkenberger for P10. Hulkenberger just starting to slide backwards through his field. Currently both Renaults and both Williams cars just outside the points at this stage as Free Gloves. Oh, a bit more wheel-to-wheel contact, but Jonas just gets his way past Free Gloves, and after such a promising restart for the Alfa Romeo driver, he's now dropped down to 9th place. And he'll be cursing those attempts on Timmats, because ultimately it has backfired for him. Of course now, but if he can stick close to these guys, some opportunities may come around later on, so this definitely doesn't put him out of contention, but it is definitely a setback for him. And he won't be repeating his heroics of Monza last week, where of course he took the win in changeable conditions thanks to a ridiculously well called strategy. Oh, look at that sideways moment, and Morgan had nowhere to go there. Nick Mania just almost parked it in the middle of a corner because of how much oversteer he had. But that's relieved some of the pressure on the other Ferrari, and has all of a sudden put Nick Mania under significant pressure from Morgan behind. I wonder if Morgan will see this as an opportunity. He's using his overtake, he clearly fancies this. But again, oh, he's come out of overtake and he realised again he's not close enough. TB Sen really could have done with just getting himself out of the DRS zone there to help out his teammate as well as himself. As we've got a battle further behind, Felix is having a go at Hulkenberger for P11. Look at the extra speed he can carry. And surely down the inside that's going to be a simple overtaking. Yes it is. Felix up to 11th because he desperately tries to salvage whatever he can from what has just been a really unlucky and unfortunate evening for him around the track, where he doesn't look like he's particularly got comfortable, and that penalty kind of just sums up how his evening's gone so far. It just isn't working, and now he's almost lost the back end of the car. And he loses a... Oh, and he's got Game Freaker down his inside as well. Oh, this is just all going disastrously wrong for a championship leader. An 18-point lead coming into tonight. 6 podium finishes in 6 races, but here he is battling at the tail end of the field as he continues to struggle with the car tonight. It just isn't working for him. And it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts tomorrow on that one. But it just doesn't look like he's ever really been overly comfortable. And Paco Suarez is round into the wall, and Williams' disaster continues, and it looks like it's going to be yet another non-score for Paco, who's got front wing damage, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes into the pits and calls it a day. That's a real shame for him, as Nick Mania looks to challenge TB7 for third as the 2 racing points get increasingly close. Further behind, it's so tight in this group of 6 cars. And not quite close enough on this occasion. Jonas is looking like he wants to get past Sam. Paco has retired in the pit lane as expected. Of course, as he's got to get increasingly close, Tom AJ just starting to pull an increased gap to the cars behind. So he's looking pretty solid in second right now. Although, of course, he just needs to make sure he avoids a penalty. But, well, Bryn, just look, about 7 seconds out in the lead. There's no doubt about it. He deserves everything he's got so far tonight. He's been the class of the field. And even with the safety car period, it makes you wonder if we haven't had a safety car, just how far in front he would be. You're looking at maybe having a pit stop in hand just with how dominant he's been. TB7 beginning to struggle. Nick Maney, of course, on the older medium tyres here, so you suspect that he will probably start to struggle too. As Morgan looks like he's got a pretty good run, but of course, again, the issue is Nick Mania has got DRS himself. Is he going to be able to challenge TB Sen into turn 1? No, he's not. Ducks in that slipstream just to probably remind the Ferrari driver that he's there. Not that he needs a reminder. As Felix goes battling with Hulkenberger into turn 1, Hulkenberger has to run wide. Rejoins at the right place and slots in behind Felix, who moves up to P11. Two Renaults, of course, Hulkenberger and Game Freak are such a great combination. They were Constructors Champions, I believe, last season. And it just hasn't worked out for them this season. They're definitely not going to hold on to that title. But it is great to see two teammates having that bond and keeping a partnership going. And hopefully they'll make it through this particularly tough spell in their PSGL careers. And Nick Mania here is looking threatening. He's in overtake. He fancies a move down the inside of a Ferrari, but the Ferrari comes off the inside line, which means he's going to have to go around the outside. Oh, look at that. That means TB Sen slow into the apex. Is there any way round for that McLaren? No, there's not. TB Sen fends him off for now. But you almost feel like the Ferraris are the wrong way around here. TB Sen just doesn't look like he's got the pace at this stage of the race. Free Gloves, meanwhile, I wonder if he's just lost a peak of those soft tyres, because he's sort of backed off from this group now. And again, Nick Mania's exit onto the pit straight, not as good as what it could have been. He's using the last of his overtake in an attempt to try and make a move for third. He's determined to get McLaren's best result of the season here tonight, but he wants to make it even better. He goes right round the outside. That's surely going to be a corner cutting warning for sure. He tries to hold it out. TB Sen's going to continue to go side by side. If he holds on to this position, that's something that could end up in the stewards later on perhaps, but he's going to go around the outside. He's done it. And now Morgan's going to attack his teammate, is he? Yes, he is down the inside. TB Sen's going to lose a second place in 2 corners, but he's coming back. And he's more experienced, better positioned teammate. So no team orders at Ferrari, which is good to see and a pleasant surprise at that. And Morgan has to slot back in behind again, but a bit of controversy perhaps behind that Nick Mania overtake, because he did look like he had all 4 wheels off the track when he started to complete the move. So be interesting to see about that one, but nevertheless, Nick Mania for now is up into third. And to be fair, it was coming, because TB Sen just struggling for pace, and now Tim Mats is making a move on Morgan. Can Tim Mats make it stick? No, again, it's covered off pretty nicely. Now coming into turn 15, he's not again, just not close enough. Wow, looking at Jonas now right behind Tim Mats as well. Jonas can see one of his title rivals just in front of him, and he wants to go at him. This has not been the race Morgan would have expected. And this would be a good recovery drive for Jonas as he now looks to make a move down the inside. Oh, Tim Mats with a late defensive move. This could go very wrong indeed. There's contact between the pair of them. Tim Mats rejoins. I don't know if he went through the bollard or not, but either way, he rejoins in front of Jonas. There was a bit of contact between the pair of them as Felix and Powdy go side by side for the final point. Who's going to make this one stick? Powdy trying to hold it around the outside, and it looks like he might just have done so. Yep, Powdy sticks with it for now, but you can see he's losing pace. Those soft tyres are really starting to give up the ghost. You can see Sam as well is dropping off in terms of pace. Felix is now in front of Audi, snuck down the inside, and you can just see those soft tyres really starting to fade on the drivers that took them on at the pit stop. But of course they had no choice. It was just the timing of a safety car meant they had to take a risk after starting on mediums. But you can see Sam, Free Gloves and Powdy all starting to drop down the field with the loss of tyre grip. Well, Nick Mania's not been able to make a run for it, so the two Ferraris still very much in position to try and take the podium place back here. You do almost wonder though, in terms of Ferrari, you know, Morgan's the one in championship contention, TB Sen has a penalty. Is it almost worth TB Sen just letting his teammate go here? It's doing Ferrari no good at all. If Morgan wants to win this Drivers' Championship, he could do with not being in this fight. But TB Sen's coming back at Nick Mania. A bit more side-by-side contact. And he can't make the move stick just yet. He's going to try and maybe look at a move down the inside. But Morgan, in turn, is looking at a potential move. But again, they have to stay in formation for now. Powdy's dropped to the back. He's really struggled. I wonder if his tyres have hit the cliff. And there could be an opportunity yet for Felix to come back at Sam and Free Gloves, who have been on their soft tyres for a long time. Let's just look at Bryn then. I mean, he's not saved any ERS, to be fair. Trying to find any sort of critique in his performance at all, but to be fair, he doesn't need to. He's got a 10-second lead built up again, as the two Ferraris are exceedingly close down this back straight. But none of them going for a move on the other. Morgan just isn't where he wants to be right now. And like I said, I'm guessing because they're in such close proximity, it would be very difficult to do a successful swap of the two drivers without losing further positions. So, but that will affect Morgan's chances here of having a go at Nick Mania, which would be for position as it stands with penalties. Oh, look at it. Wow, one further behind. Jonas has got such a good exit. He's already side by side with the Red Bull driver. He's trying to go around the outside. There was nearly contact there. Jonas now cutting to the inside for the opening chicane. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Tim Matt's desperately trying to fight it off. Going off the track, but Jonas makes the move stick and he's up to 6. And he will have a go in his final 2 laps at his championship rival. These 5 drivers lying astern here. TB Sen's going to drop down a few positions here, and Tim Matz actually will probably be alright where he is, but it's TB Sen who's going to be vulnerable with his penalty. But Nick Mania at the moment is on for a podium finish, which would be an incredible result after McLaren's difficulties this season. You know, there might be a debrief at McLaren after what happened between the teammates, but at least one of them has remained in position to score an incredible result for the team as Jonas and Morgan go side by side. He's going to go around the outside. Jonas is looking so feisty at this stage of the race, but he nearly loses the car and then loses the positions. Tim Matz goes side by side to turn 15. Jonas has the inside line. Can Tim Matz fight him back? He can indeed, and he takes the place, but then loses the rear of the car on exit. Jonas is super feisty at this stage of the race, but it has cost him this time around, as not only could he not get past Morgan, he's now back behind the Red Bull again as we go on to the final lap of the race. Wow, trying to put on some real excitement for us in the latter stages, and Jonas really trying to get as many positions as he can. But he may have to settle for where he's at the moment. TB Sen probably just thinking with a penalty it's not worth having a go at Nick Mania now, and just settling for what he has as Free Gloves and Sam are going side by side. Game Freaker's out of the race. Game Freaker has crashed on the opening, looks like just coming out of turn 2 that is, or turns 2 and 3. And Game Freaker is out of the race as Free Gloves successfully get past Sam. So Free Gloves up into 8th place. Obviously looked after his soft tyres. I wonder if that bit better than Sam, but has to make do with just 8th place at the moment. TB Sen picks up another penalty though. that could put Free Gloves up another place as well. So TB Send's penalties really costing him here. But I think it's only fair that we give Bryn a bit of airtime here, because it's been a sensational drive from him around the final corner. He's absolutely dominated here. We had a safety car period. It didn't make one shred of a difference. He absolutely dominates to win the PSGL F7 Russian Grand Prix. Great drive from Bryn, and Tom AJ, solid drive as well, takes him to second place. And McLaren have had so many woes in F7 this season, but Nick Mania takes the podium for them. Morgan will be 4th, Jonis will be 5th, Tim at 6th, Free Gloves moves up to 7th, TB Sense penalties cost him, and he finishes on the 8th in the end. Sam is 9th, and Felix, despite everything, does salvage a point in 10th. Wow, wow, wow. Well, we wondered, could anyone take the fight to Felix here? Morgan and Jonis have taken some points out of his championship lead. It's now under a race win, which is the important thing really going into the last 5 races. We race at Singapore next week, which should be another unpredictable race, but I have to say there was nothing unpredictable about that win, because from the moment he did that lap time in qualifying, a 29.2, Bryn has been in absolute control of this one. He built up a 10-second lead before the safety car came out. He built that back up again after the safety car. No one was touching him today. He is an absolutely deserved winner of this race, and he's an absolutely deserving winner of my driver of the day. Absolutely faultless drive from pole to win, and with the talent we've got on show here in F7, to win by that much is a really excellent job indeed. So that for me is one of the standout drives I've seen this season. Bryn absolutely dominating, deserves the 16 points, and well done to him, and he'll be one to look out for if he can replicate that sort of level of performance at some of the other tracks coming up. Here's your unclassified results. Of course, stewards could have a say in how this ends, but Tom AJ 2nd, Nick Mania in 3rd, we've got Morgan in 4th, Jonis in 5th, Tim at 6th, Free Glove 7th, TB Sense penalties dropped him to 8th, Sam in 9th, and Felix in 10th, with Hulkenberger and Powdy missing out on points. But Powdy pitted for softs at the end and took the fastest lap point away from Bryn, but I don't think he'll mind too much, Bryn. I think he'll be super happy with how he drove tonight, and if that's anything to go by, he could be a real threat in races to come, because he didn't just win that race, he just absolutely drove away from everybody else. No one could light a candle to him today. So well done to Bryn for that. Winner, my driver of the day. I don't think you could have really any arguments with that. Tom, I thought, deserves a good mention. He did a great job and managed to pull away for 2nd. And despite some of the argy-bargy and ultimate disaster that happened at McLaren, Nick Mania managed to get on the podium to at least salvage something from McLaren's day that promised a potential double podium in those early stages. And with the championship battle closing between the top 3, I expect more fireworks next week at Singapore. That will be round 8. I'll be sure to join me for that one. That's going to be a great race. Be sure to tune into PSGL tomorrow night. We have the PlayStation Tiers 1 to 6 all in action. I'll be back in the commentary box for F4 alongside Felix at 7 PM, and be sure to check out all the other streams tomorrow as well. But from me, it's a very good night, and I'll catch you on the flip side.